Hi, this is Steve Levine from TheCloudist. I'm here today with Joshua McKenty, CEO of Piston Cloud. Hi Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thanks Steve.
I think it would be great, Josh, if you gave us a brief history of Piston Cloud computing and what you did at NASA before, and maybe talk a little bit about the company's mission statement.
Sure. So, as you mentioned, I was at NASA Ames Research Center for a couple of years prior to starting Piston Cloud. And while there, I led the technical development of a project known as NASA Nebula, which was the first private cloud used by government and certified for use by other government agencies. We powered not only several hundred NASA projects, but also some projects for the White House under contract. And then we were successful at taking the core of the software that we developed and making it into an open source release called OpenStack.
Okay, Josh, what's the importance of OpenStack? What does it mean to enterprises building private clouds?
It's a very interesting question because the only comparison we can make between OpenStack and anything else is either Linux, and I know the Register was the first publication to call OpenStack the new Linux, about actually even before we really got moving last year. But it also can be compared to, let's say, TCP/IP. And what you have with TCP/IP and with Ethernet is the same fundamental set of technologies that are used for building private networks and for building the public network, the internet. And the economies of scale on the software side and the hardware side have meant that both of those environments have become incredibly powerful. And I see us in exactly the same position now with OpenStack, where we have a single set of technologies that can be used for private clouds and for public clouds and for interop between those two environments. And we're going to end up with something that looks like the internet, but for data and processing as well. Steve, I think the interesting nuance for the enterprise, when enterprises in particular are looking at OpenStack, they're saying, well, what are our options? And today their option is VMware and a vCloud-based software stack. This looks identical to Microsoft versus Linux, both on the desktop and in the data center over the last couple of decades. And what OpenStack is giving them is an option that's not Microsoft.
So do you feel that companies like yours who are starting out in this nascent market are going to be hamstrung by lack of tools when you compare the amount of tools that people can already get with VMware and some of the other companies that have banks of programmers everywhere? What is going to be the simple path for you to get to the front of the line, to have what people need to manage this?
So there are two answers to that question. The simple answer from the Piston Cloud side, our distribution of OpenStack, which is called PenTOS, is really geared towards integration with existing enterprise tools. So we focused a lot on making sure that this can just plug in and work with the administrative tools that IT professionals are already used to. So if you're managing users and groups, you can use Active Directory as an example. The second thing is in the broader OpenStack ecosystem, you can look at VMware as almost being Token Ring. And Token Ring was a successful and powerful technology when it came out, and you'd say, well, there's all these tools for managing Token Ring, why would you get involved with Ethernet? The answer is, for a software developer or a tool manufacturer to look at OpenStack and say, wow, I can write this once, and I can write it to one API and one specification, and then my customers can use it across a dozen different public cloud environments and a dozen different private cloud distributions, that's a very attractive proposition. Regardless of what the market share is today, the market share on the OpenStack side is only getting larger. We see a lot of evals for dev and test production. We have a 100 or 200 man dev team, and they're tired of waiting 6 weeks to 6 months to get a server out of central IT. So we give them a small private cloud. They can provision their own virtual machines in 10 or 15 minutes and then turn them off when they're done.
Okay, Josh, tell us something about your product, especially PenTOS.
Okay, so PenTOS is the Piston Enterprise Operating System. And we've taken OpenStack and we've looked at it as being an open source project that really represents the middle tier of a complete cloud solution. We're at the end of the information age. Just collecting information is a waste of time. It turns out there's too much, and we can't make any sense of it. As humans, we're not actually very good at dealing with massive amounts of information, even though we imagine that we are. What we are good at doing is taking actionable insights from that data, if we can get to those, and taking action on them. So 5 years from now, I think that's where we are. We have actions. As far as the company, I think 5 years from now with Piston Cloud, I'm sort of planning on buying IBM. I will need a good professional services group at some point, and I've heard they're pretty good. But I might settle for an HP EDS or something.